Some people dig for bones, others dig for truth. I do both. I'm Dacian, and this is Barren Bones. In the dust of fallen empires, the strangest stories survive. So let's explore today how a Transylvanian aristocrat's obsession for fictional outlaws and frontier science forged a rebel academic who refused to wait for permission. In keeping with the fashion of the time, the Nopcsa children received a refined education from an early age, tutored by a specialized English governess, Miss Stevenson. By the age of 9, when he became a pupil at the Theresianum college in Vienna, young Franz Nopcsa had already acquired the accomplishments expected of a boy of noble birth: good manners, horsemanship, a sound knowledge of geography and history, as well as several foreign languages. With Miss Stevenson, he would speak English, French, and German. With his parents and siblings, he conversed in German and Hungarian, while with the servants and the local folk, he spoke Romanian. Thus, even before his 10th birthday, Franz Nopcsa was already a polyglot. It was also at this time that he became fascinated by the adventure stories of the German novelist Karl May, who was already famous and widely read. Karl May was a German author renowned for his adventure novels, frequently written in the first person and set predominantly in the American Old West, the Orient, and the Middle East. Despite lacking any factual basis, May, for a period, asserted that he had personally traveled in these regions. He claimed that in the American West he was known as Old Shatterhand, while in the Ottoman Empire he bore the name Kara Ben Nimzi, and he occasionally reinforced these assertions by posing in costumes from those places. He would send letters to his fans with photographs. May ranks among the best-selling German writers of all time, and his works exerted a formative influence on many prominent figures in the German-speaking world. Albert Einstein, for example, expressed admiration for May's novels, stating that his whole adolescence stood under his sign. It was the same with Nopcsa. In 1886, the young Franz left for Vienna, where, continuing family tradition, he was enrolled at the prestigious Maria Theresianum, the elite military academy of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. There, in the imperial capital, he was able to obtain his favorite author's works far more readily, often immediately, upon publication. Thus, in 1892, the 15-year-old Franz Nopcsa was avidly reading Karl May's latest novels, In the Gorges of the Balkans, Through the Land of the Shqiptars, and The Legacy of the Inca. Each of these tales offered him the exploits of an extraordinary hero and his loyal companion. The action unfolded in Albania and other Balkan lands, as well as in South America. Apparently, Franz Nopcsa's aspirations for a throne started to show at an early age. News from an old Hungarian newspaper dated August 1894, when Franz Nopcsa was a 17-year-old teenager, shed a bit of light on his future ambitions. A show for art lovers on the occasion of Ilona's birthday in the castle of Baron Nopcsa in Seychelles, the Nopcsa family, together with the Kendefi family, who live nearby, organized an extremely bright and successful show for art lovers. The highlight of the evening was the surprisingly beautiful representation of fables, fairy tales, and legends. In the legend of Saint Elizabeth, Franz Nopcsa presented himself as an intelligent king. After the show, a rich dinner, then fireworks, and finally a dance ended the beautiful celebration, reads the newspaper. So, at 17, he presented himself as an intelligent king in front of an audience. His college, the Theresianum, was a high school for noble boys. Latin, logic, politics. Franz didn't care. He was too busy reading westerns, the deserts of New Mexico, Apache scouts, German cowboys with names like Old Shatterhand, and tribal chieftains like Vienna, Arabian blood brothers, and bold prison escapes, Kara Ben Nemzi and Haji Halef Omar. Books written by a man who never left Germany. But Franz believed him. He turned his eyes from Latin grammar to distant horizons. He wanted to be Karl May's hero, explorer, outlaw, scholar, survivor. And the bones were waiting. Nop-joke. Nopcsa walks into this bar and sees Karl May nursing a beer. "You inspired my life, sir," says Nopcsa. "Mine was all fiction," says May. "So is mine," says Nopcsa, and orders 2 identities. Don't forget to subscribe. Watch closely. The clues have been there all along. The young baron had a castle in Seychelles and a silver spoon in his mouth. But when it came time to choose a path, he chose rocks. In 1897, at just 20, Nopcsa enrolled at the University of Vienna, geology department. But there was a problem. No one taught paleontology. Fossils were mostly catalogued, not studied. The great lizards of history were curiosities, not stories. So Nopcsa did what he always did. He taught himself. He wrote letters to curators, traveled to Paris, Brussels, London, bought rare books from bankrupt nobles, hired illustrators to redraw anatomy. He devoured papers in French, German, English, and Hungarian, annotated in Latin. He didn't learn paleontology. He absorbed it. He struck up correspondence with the great minds of the day. Professor Edward Seuss, the man who coined the term Gondwana. Louis Dolo, who said paleontology was like crime scene investigation. Sir Arthur Smith Woodward, who was at the time the world expert on fossil fish. Baron Friedrich von Huene, who described more dinosaurs than anyone else in 20th century Europe. They saw potential in Nopcsa, but also danger. His theories were fast, bold, reckless, some said. While others measured tail vertebrae, Nopcsa was building behavior models, movement, emotion, social structure. He argued dinosaurs didn't just die, they lived, and some, he believed, might have been warm-blooded. It was science by instinct, and it pissed people off. But behind the Latin names and fossil wars was a boy who'd once read Winnetou by candlelight. Karl May gave him something no textbook could: myth. He saw the outlaw as a hero, the wanderer as a scholar, the man with no nation as the sharpest mind. And Nopcsa, born in a land between borders, raised between languages, chose that path: science, adventure, exile. Not in the footsteps of professors, but bandits, cowboys and barons. His sister Eleanor once wrote, "Serious specialist knowledge only meets the adventurous spirit of a Karl May character in but a few people." My brother, as a high school student, was extremely enthusiastic about May's books, and in my opinion, they had a crucial influence on his life as they drew his attention to Albania. When he was reading in The Legacy of the Inca about Dr. Morgenstern and his faithful servant Fritze, who hunted for prehistoric skeletons in South America under threat from indigenous tribes, young Nopcsa imagined unearthing dinosaur bones in the distant Gran Chaco, the name meaning hunting ground in Quechua language. He traveled with his imagination through the land of the Shqiptars and in the gorges of the Balkans, picturing himself as the intrepid hero Karaben Nemzi, journeying through the Balkans, fighting for justice, and later recounting to the world the wonders he had lived and discovered. Only 3 years passed before his dreams began to take shape. In 1895, the young Baron Franz Nopcsa discovered a dinosaur bone in his own hunting ground near the family castle in the village of Sachel in the land of Hatzeg. From that moment on, the story of Franz Nopcsa takes on the air of legend. A life lived at full speed, marked by adventure and danger, by sudden twists of fate, and by discoveries that would redefine the boundaries of paleontology. A life driven by theories far ahead of their time, and by an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, discovery, creation, and justice. Baron Franz Nopcsa led a life which, if ever brought to the screen, would far surpass the exploits of the famous Indiana Jones. So what do you call a nobleman who teaches himself science in 4 languages and rearranges a British Museum exhibit for fun? Troublemaker? Genius? Faker? Visionary? The truth is, he was all of them, and he was just getting started. Next time, we meet the dinosaurs of Hatzeg face to face, the birth of dwarf theory, and the island that time almost forgot. Ashes to ashes, fossils to memory. This is Barren Bones. I'm Dakian. Sunny days.